Hello and welcome to another edition of Red Leg the Riverfront Reds show. Oh no, it's Late Night Reds
Like
with
there, yes,
Ben Brown.
sir.
Ben
Yes,
Brown,
indeed.
I'm here. Hey, when there's big news to talk about, or the topic is just sitting there on a silver platter, the bat signal goes out for me to fill in for Tim. And today
Absolutely.
is the Elly episode. How exciting is that?
Crazy stuff, man. It's always fun to have you with us when you get a chance to fill in. We always have a good time, and we're talking Ellie, man. We're talking the man. We're talking the guy that's going to take over the city, going to take over Major League Baseball, Elly De La Cruz. So, should be
Yeah,
a fun show.
I've got a bone to pick with the folks at Tops, and I know they're just trying to sell more baseball cards, but they put the Future Star logo on the Elly De La Cruz this year, and I'm here to tell you he is not a future star. He is a bona fide star right now, and that's where it is. It's not. I know you need to sell a few more cards if you're Fanatics and you own Tops now, but he's a star now, and that was silly to
Yes, he
me that they
is.
put that moniker on his card this year. Welcome everybody. I am not Tim Daniel, but I am so excited to be with you tonight. Pat McGooch, hello, good to see you. Yeah, you're not giving us any trouble at all. I appreciate everything you do for us here, Pat. And
Yep.
Carrie's already been in the house on the chat, so welcome to Carrie. Um, you know what? I want to do something kind of maybe different with the Ellie conversation. You've gone through all the positions, right? And you go
Hmm.
from one position to the next, and but this one's just the Ellie. Like this isn't shortstop. This is Ellie.
Yep.
We will discuss, just some hypotheticals later in the episode here, but this is the Elly De La Cruz episode for the 2025 preview to the season. And so I typed in Elly De La Cruz on Google, Ben, and
Hmm.
you ever noticed recently on Google, it'll have like people also ask because it'll give you like two or three headlines on Google of that person or that thing you searched, and then other people who have searched about that person, place, or thing have asked other questions. So I wanted to go through a few of those just for fun. Um, they came up, and I don't know how much AI is involved here, so we got to worry about that a little bit, but the first one was, how much does Elly De La Cruz make in a year?
Yeah.
All right. The answer is very little when it comes
Yeah.
to his output. He makes a paltry $800,000 for the 2025 season, which
That's
leads us to,
crazy, man.
yeah,
That's crazy to
well,
think about.
and it's the way baseball economics work. I mean, I remember the first guy to kind of take advantage of maybe maybe it was arbitration, but remember Ryan Howard? Like his
Yeah.
first
Oh, absolutely.
year, he got $10 million. And it's like,
Yep.
arbitration is supposed to be for guys that just got in the league, but Ryan Howard had already done so much by the time he was eligible. And Ellie's on his way toward that type of thing now, unless they can do something to get things. So that leads us to ask your thoughts here. Will Ellie sign something long term before he's arbitration eligible?
Um, Gosh, I hope so. I mean, and I think the Reds have a basis here, and if they think about the Votto situation where they signed him long term and they got him because they knew he was the guy, he knew he was the face of the franchise, they knew that he was going to be MVP caliber year in and year out. So, in order to keep those guys around, man, you've got to show that you're committed to them. And I think Elly De La Cruz wanted to see this franchise move in the right direction. You go out and get some key free agents, you shore up the bullpen, and then you go get Terry Francona. I mean, to me, I think that was the biggest signing to show that Elly De La Cruz that this franchise is committed to winning. And I think it showed a lot of those guys the same thing. When you go out and get a guy like Terry Francona to run your organization and to be the head, the skipper on your team, you are expecting big things. You're expecting to win. You're expecting to be in competition. You're expecting to be playing games in October that means something. Like when you do that, it shows your franchise what you're trying to do. So long and short of it is, I think yes, Ellie will sign an extension before he gets to arbitration, because I think making those moves is showing him that they are committed to winning.
Yeah, I'll buy that. Now, so the question becomes, and actually what Votto did was Votto signed to kind of avoid the arbitration years. And then after the MVP season, he signed the big one. And
Yeah.
that kind of got him past where he would have been a free agent anyway. Hey, Pat, Carrie, Sydney, you're out there right now. Can you verify that my levels are okay? Something's been going wonky. I really apologize if you listened to the Riverfront Red show the other day. I thought it was a great conversation with Joe Luckup. And then I find out the next morning as it launches that my levels were just too high. They were peaking. So if you could put in the chat here, if it sounds okay right now. And Carrie, you're going to get me in trouble. Tim asked me not to talk about that. Okay. We're not going to talk about it. And I'm sorry. You know what it is, Carrie. You've asked a few times on your questions on the chat about a certain guy pardoning a certain other guy. And Tim asked me not to talk about it. So I won't. I didn't wear my Cincinnati Invented Hustle t-shirt tonight. I got Gino and Joey for some good vibes. All right. We're not going to talk about it. Okay. And maybe we'll get onto it some other time, but not tonight. This is the Elly show. All right.
Yeah.
So we're hopeful. Maybe he'll sign at least a 3 or 4 year deal to avoid arbitration, or maybe Scott Boras will allow him to dictate terms himself and sign a very, very, very long contract that will put him well past not only arbitration years, but free agent years. But we still have him. And at minimum this year, literally minimum $800,000 this year.
Gosh,
so right now, as I said, he's the face of a franchise. All right. I've said it these past few weeks, either on the Riverfront Red show or even a few other things I've done. Matt McLean, if he's healthy, and what he did in 2023, Matt McLean, you could refer to him as the glue, but it goes beyond glue. It's foundational, what Matt McLean is, okay? But Elly is the face. Elly's on the video game cover. They made 236 rookie cards of him last year. Topps is printing cards over and over and over to get you to buy them. I've got all the Topps now, Elly's. I'm almost embarrassed to admit that, but I do. And that's awesome. Who Elly De La Cruz is right now. He's a bona fide superstar with what he's put up. And you know as well as I do, Ben, there have been guys over the years that have become famous, right?
Yeah.
You even think of some, and maybe you're not a big golf guy, but as a golf guy, like Ricky Fowler, right? Ricky Fowler is a good golfer. But the level of like the endorsements and the recognition by kids at a certain age 10 years ago or so, and all that well exceeded. It happens in tennis a lot too. It well exceeded his actual accomplishments on the golf course, or maybe a tennis player on the tennis court, and a Kournikova for other reasons. Okay, we're not going to get into that either. I'm sorry, but
hey, well, yep, good comparison. Way to keep yourself out of trouble.
We know. All right. That's not what this is. Elly's done it.
Yeah. Yep.
Elly, and we're going to go over some of the things Elly has done already and the reasons why we're so excited going forward, because his trajectory is Bobby Witt.
Yeah.
But with a few other different things. He does a few things differently or better, and Bobby Witt probably does some things better. Bobby Witt hit like 400 after the All-Star break last year.
Yeah, he was on fire.
I don't know that I'm going to see Elly De La Cruz hit 400 over a 3-month period. Maybe. I mean, I'm not going to say he can't, but it's not really in his repertoire so far. So what we have already is a bona fide superstar. Okay. So much like Joe Burrow, let's make that comparison. All right.
Yep.
From the moment Joe Burrow was drafted and played on the field for the Bengals, even in 2020 when he wasn't that good of a player, Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals were must-see TV.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 1,000%. That way with Elly. I mean, if we can't watch the whole game, we still got to see his at-bats, right? We still have to see, did he steal a base, or did he score from second on a sac fly, or what?
Right.
What's he doing? So I guess give me your thoughts on that. Superstar Elly.
It's just rarefied air, man. Like the way you see him play the game, as soon as he stepped on the field, as soon as that guy stepped on the field, we knew he was different. It is. Joe Burrow is a perfect example. As soon as the Bengals drafted Joe Burrow, As soon as he stepped on the field, as soon as you saw him be able to lead those teams and do the things that he can do as a rookie, we knew we had a star. It was no question about it. You watch Elly De La Cruz play baseball, you get excited if you're a baseball fan. He can do everything well, and he can be great at a multitude of things. Not only is he exciting to watch, not only is he, he took the time to learn English, so there's no translators, there's no nothing like that. He took the time to do that. He took the time to meet with Francona in the offseason. He's playing winter ball. He's doing all these different things to make himself better. He's on the cover of MLB The Show. He's doing all these things. People recognize that Elly De La Cruz is going to be the face of baseball. You don't get on MLB The Show, and you don't get at the top of Topps trading cards, and you don't get all these different things if the people that are in the know don't know. I mean, the people in the know what Elly De La Cruz is. You can get on MLB Network, ESPN, anybody that's doing a baseball show, and when they start to break down top guys in Major League Baseball, Elly De La Cruz is going to be on everybody's list, and it's not even close. So it's his superstardom has been crazy because he's such a freak athlete to play the position he plays, to do the things that he's able to do. It's just phenomenal to watch. It is very Joe Burrow-esque, the way that he's kind of taken over like the franchise, the city, Major League Baseball. It's him, Skeens, and Otani. You know what I mean? Those three guys you're looking at and you're like, man, that's baseball. Those are the guys I want to see. I have to see play baseball every day.
Yeah, and the craziest things about him are like, do you remember the Sid Finch thing from the April Fool's like story that was written in Sports Illustrated like 40 years ago? And
Absolutely.
It was a made up like picture that the Mets had signed, and it was completely made up.
Yep.
You can't make some of the stuff about Elly up. He's got a twin brother who's only 5'9".
Yeah.
I mean, when he was signed, he wasn't. He grew 6 inches since he signed, or even since he was like 18, and he's only 23 years old right now.
Yeah. Yep.
So one of the other things on Google that came up on that, what other people have asked, what makes Elly De La Cruz so good? I'm here to answer it for you, Google. Speed, size, power, flair, and smile. Okay. Mm-hmm. Smile might not really make you good on a baseball field, but it does go a long way to getting you on the video game, getting you on MLB Network, getting you on Sports Center, getting you the things that he has gotten. And I'm here to tell you, he's got it all. He does. Mm-hmm. And he's doing it at shortstop. We'll talk a little bit later. He could be doing it. I mean, he's the type of guy like Barry Larkin could have batted first, second, or third. I mean, he could have batted anywhere, but he could have been the best first, second, or third hitter on the team at any given time throughout his entire career. Yep. Elly could be your best center fielder, shortstop, and third base, at any given time too. Yep. And he's going to play shortstop as long as he wants to, I think, unless he says maybe he doesn't need to. But what do you think? Speed, size, power, flair. He's got flair, and he's got the $1 million smile. Mm-hmm. What do you think of when you hear somebody say, well, what makes Elly so good?
Oh, gosh. Where do I start? It's I don't even know how to even put it into words. He's a kid that when you watch him play baseball, the thing that makes him good is that there's really, he's starting to get to a point where there's not going to be a whole lot of weaknesses. Mm-hmm. So like he can steal bases in the field, dude. He can cover from second to third. That gap, I mean, he can cover. His range is ridiculous in the field. His batting presence is so dominant that he can do things at the plate that nobody else can do. He's just, I don't know. He's just got all the tools. It's fun to watch because you haven't even seen the best of him yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's got so many tools that he's working on. He's got so many things in his game that he's going to grow and get better at. He's got power, he's got speed, he can hit for average. I think he can hit for average. I think he could be a 285 hitter personally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think there are things there that he hasn't even scratched the surface with. And like you said, he's 23 years old. He is just now starting to understand the game of baseball on the highest levels, and it's only going to go up from there.
Yeah, and we're going to get into this here in a minute, but spoiler alert, there's some folks out there projecting him to do worse than last year in a lot of areas. And the only way that happens, in my opinion, is if he just can't play as many games.
Yeah.
I don't see how a guy that doesn't improve. He's taking the next steps. He's working hard. That's the other thing. Terry Francona brings it to him that I want you to not only be the best player in baseball, I want you to be the best player on the best team.
Mm-hmm.
But to be the best player in the baseball, like you're not just going to roll out of bed and be able to do that. So I think, and I guess if I had to, I'd love to get to talk to Elly and really maybe do an interview or something like that. But I guess one of the things I would ask and talk to him about, because, and look, I'm not saying Ken Griffey Jr. never had to work hard, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But it just seemed to come so natural to Griffey, right?
Mm-hmm.
Elly knows what it's like not to be 6'5".
Yeah. Yeah.
And Elly knows what it's like not to maybe be quite as fast as he is now, although I have a feeling he was probably always really quick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And probably good. But I'd like to talk to him about how hard he's had to work to get where he is. And then you mix in, hey, you grew 6 inches, that kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. I just think that's amazing. So, yeah, this is the Elly episode. I mean, you've done every position group up to this point, but we're talking about what makes Elly so good at shortstop, because he is the shortstop. All right. So one thing I wanted to bring up that I heard, already in spring training and very early, I'm talking like a week ago today, maybe, there was a play where Santiago Espinal was playing shortstop in Elly's place. And I think I was driving home from my son's swim meet. And so I had Tommy and the Cowboy on the radio. And there was a pop-up that was a little wide, and Santiago Espinal just didn't get there. And listen, Espinal's a very good defender.
Mm-hmm.
And technically speaking, as far as fundamentals and things like that, he's probably, you could maybe argue he's better than Elly, in just doing the things, right? But not what your body allows you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so there's a pop-up, Espinal can't get to it. And again, this is only like the second or third game of spring at the time. And Tommy Thrall says, well, Elly would have had that. And you forget, he's like, you forget, you just see a pop-up and you expect, because you watched Elly 160 times last year. Yeah. Well, Elly's going to go get that. Oh, wait, Elly's not playing today. Yeah. Right. And so that's amazing. And it's a pop fly, and he just didn't catch it. So I guess that's kind of exhibit A, Ben, for why errors aren't everything.
Yeah.
Because Elly led the league in errors last year. Not just the National League, the whole league. He had 29. O'Neal Cruz had 26, and Gunnar Henderson had 25. All right. And I think he's a full season behind Bobby Witt as far as progress.
Yeah.
He might be half a season behind Gunnar Henderson. Okay. Before he catches and passes him for legitimately he's better than, right? And Gunnar Henderson sat there with 25 last year. So it's not that different. But he was second in the NL in WAR at the All-Star break behind Shohei Ohtani. And defense goes into that. He made the All-Star team, as we know. He was tied last year for the league lead with 247 putouts. He was fourth in assists as a shortstop with 360. And he was fourth in range factor per game as a shortstop at 3.7. I don't know what that means exactly. Somebody in the comments fill it out. But I know he's right there. He's right there. And, the old adage, well, if you can't get to a ball, you can't have an error. Well, he gets to everything.
Yep.
Now, does he clean up the times when maybe he's a little lackadaisical, right? Does that time with Barry Larkin where Barry Larkin says, when I was first year in the league, I had X amount of errors too.
Mm-hmm.
But let's fix that. Let's, we watched Joey Votto, who has on defense, let's say, like infinitely less, ability on defense.
Yeah, absolutely.
like just natural ability, than Elly De La Cruz as an athlete. We watched him go from not being able to make the simple toss to the pitcher when he
Mm-hmm.
got pulled away from the bag when the pitcher covered, to being an NL Gold Glover at first base the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's back in that 09, 10, 11 range. Elly's already got all the tools, Ben. What do you think? Can he become even? And listen, you're going to fight battles against like folks who say, "Well, errors are everything," right? They're
Right,
not.
right, right. Yeah.
Can he? But that's the thing. Can he get to where he's pleasing everyone? I guess I'd say.
Well, I mean, the hard part is I don't think you can please everybody because when when people are in a position of Elly De La Cruz, you're always going to have people that are either one, just not fans, or two, they're purist, right? Like you know, maybe he doesn't play a ball the right way, or maybe he doesn't, use his second hand, or I don't know, just what baseball purists say. Um, but with all the tools he has and all the skills he has, there's you can't tell me that he can't be a Gold Glove winning shortstop. I just don't believe it. I mean, with his arm, with his range, with his length, with his speed, with his ability, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that he can be a world class Gold Glove shortstop. Now, the stuff with where he got a little lackadaisical and a little lax, I think a lot of that comes from just pressing, because you're trying to make plays where there really shouldn't be plays, or you're trying to make the spectacular play when you're trying to make a play for your team. That happens. Those things happen all the time. Um, I think the accountability part I think will help a ton. Josh brings up a good point. I really think that that's going to be a huge part of him having success, is being held accountable day in and day out. That plays a whole lot of dividends in somebody being able to make different kind of plays. Yep, that's also a great point, maturity. But being able to make different kind of plays, do different things the right way, attack the baseballs, do the things that you're supposed to do. When you're held accountable, you do those things every day and you become a better player. So
Yeah.
between all that and all the things that he's able to do and the accountability part and everything else, I don't think there's any doubt that he could be a Gold Glove shortstop.
Okay. And Mr. Juan, you asked a question earlier about who gets the second most starts at shortstop this year behind Elly. My guess would be Espinal, just to fill in here or there. But Elly played in 160 games last year, so knock on wood, we hope he can do that. And that takes me to the next thing. And folks, if you have a lot of questions or comments that we could run toward the end of the show here, put them in the chat and we will get to those. But at first I started to do this, Ben, where I was going to be like, all right, let's play a fun game. And I'm not a gambling guy. Okay. But
Yeah, man.
I was going to say, let's play a fun game of over under. All right.
Okay.
But I went through Baseball Reference, and I know there's other places. I did go end up and get the zips, but I went through Baseball Reference because that's where I was to do the other research I did. And I'm here to tell you, it has to be that they don't think he can play as many games. Like, it has to be that they think something's going to happen to only make him play 135 games, because there's no way on some of these that they're so far under even what he did last year.
Wow.
When he's a guy who's improving every month since he's basically been in pro baseball, except for, he came up in 23 and kind of ran out of gas, right? All right. So over under, these are Baseball Reference. Elly in the 3 in the park, inside the park home runs, Kerry. That sounds I'd like to take that. Although a Great American, it's tough to hit inside the park home run. I know he did it, but my goodness, I kept waiting for Billy Hamilton to do it, and it's just a tough park. It's so small. All right. So over under, and this is what Baseball Reference set. Number of runs scored. They set him at 90. All right. He had 105 last year.
I was going to say, yeah.
Okay, what? So hits. I think he's more disciplined at the plate this year. That could result in more hits. They have him at 137. Mm-hmm. He had 160 last year. Wow. They're saying he's going to have 137. Doubles. All right. Now listen, if he's going to have a bunch of triples because he takes what everybody else would be a double and turns it a triple, maybe his doubles won't be as high. Maybe he's not a 40 to 50 double guy, but he had 36 last year. They're saying 28 this year. All
Wow.
right.
I do wonder why they're projecting him so
I,
low.
I,
That's
I can't get
boggles my
past this.
mind.
Home runs. All right. Home runs. He had 25 last year, and he did slow down a little bit. I thought he was going to get to 30. All right. Right
Yeah.
around July, I thought he would get to 30. He had 25 last year. They're saying 21.
Wow.
I can't get there. RBI, okay, on a team last year, okay, that wasn't. You talk about it. He's the only infielder left standing, basically, of who we thought would play, okay, because we didn't
Yeah.
even know where India was going to play last year, and you
Yeah.
ended up having to save the day at second base. McLean, CES. You had Candelario miss a lot of time. It didn't work last year. Marte suspended half the year. All right, last year he had 76 RBI. This year, with what you would think would be more, as far as people being on base, TJ Friedel maybe hopefully being healthy all year.
Yeah.
They say he's only going to have 66
Jeez,
RBI.
Pete.
All right. Stolen bases. Stolen bases. Now, you could convince me he won't get to 67 again.
Yeah.
Because Tito's probably going to not want him to get caught 16 times. Right.
Right.
And so he may throttle down just a little, but they're saying 50. Remember, we still have the big bases.
Yeah.
We still have the pickoff rule and the only
Yeah.
throw over so many times. And all right, walks. All right. If he's more disciplined at the plate, walks. He had 69 last year. They're saying 56.
Wow.
Listen, the Baseball Reference isn't putting out an over-under. They're putting out what they think it's going to be exactly. This is what they think. All right. They do have him down to 171 strikeouts, which tells me yet again, I think they're banking on him just not playing 160 games.
Yeah.
But he had 218 last year to lead the league. His OPS last year, 809. I just think he's an over 800 OPS guy for the next 5 years. They got him at 796.
Wow.
They don't set an OPS plus. I didn't see that on the list, but last year he was 119. That's very good.
That's really good.
I think he could be a 125 to 130 guy this year.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna ask you say, hey, over under, and
Right.
To me, all these are over. So I had Chad Johnson coming to my mind and saying, "Child, please."
Yeah. I would have put the over on all of those. I don't know.
It would have been a boring game.
I don't know, man. Here's the thing, and maybe they do. Maybe they only see him playing 140 games this year. I don't know, but his lineup by far will be better this year around him than it was last year. I mean,
the lineup,
guys around him,
Austin
the guys
Hayes.
around him will be better. Yeah, the guys around him will be better. He'll have a little bit more protection in the lineup. Like I just don't see how those numbers go down. Like I don't. It's when your lineups are better and you're playing more competitive games, like you're going to play at a higher level. So I don't see how that's going to happen.
Do you think how do you do the lineup? Do we think it's like Friedel, McLean, Elly bats third, or do you go McLean, Elly, and maybe it's a righty lefty thing? Maybe against righties, Friedel leads off, and against lefties, he's down in the order.
He's down, yeah. Yeah, I could see that, but I think it'll be McLean, Elly, or Friedel, McLean, Elly.
Yeah,
I think that's what it'll be.
Here's the Zips projections. They have him hitting 25 homers, which is right on last year. 88 RBI, which is a little better. 104 runs, which is better because Baseball Reference had him at 90. 54 stolen bases, which kind of goes with our theory. They got him up from I think 257 to 262 batting average. An on-base percentage of 334, which would be okay. An OPS of 806. So I can get on board with that a little more. I still think some of those will be better. Yeah, so I guess. It's tough to play 160 games every year, but I still think he plays 150.
I was going to say,
But if he's healthy, I think he plays 155 to 160. I don't see a reason not to unless Tito – I don't know. I'd have to look at like Ramirez up in Cleveland and see if when he was really coming into his prime, if Tito sat him down a lot.
Right.
But
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't see him playing under 150 games. I mean, barring injury, he's too valuable of a piece to not play 95% of your games.
yeah, Pat McGooch said if he walks a little more than he did last year, a 900 OPS should be easy for him. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Anything over 800, I think, is very good for a 23-year-old,
Yeah.
and we'd be happy with it. But certainly, if he's taking that next step forward, that would be great. I guess that long story short on that whole discussion, I think he's going to be better in some of those categories, and I don't really understand. And maybe it's conservative outlook, and obviously, Baseball Reference was more conservative than Zips on a lot of that stuff, but. I just watch him day in and day out, and the funny thing is, it comes in such spurts, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
like both his home runs and because remember last year he hit these tape measure shots in mid to late April and then he went almost. I got to tell you, I got a really good friend, and he went out and bought. Have you ever seen in Tops they have the home run challenge card?
Uh-huh.
All right, so they have the home run challenge card. You get a guy, and you pick out what day he'll hit a home run. And if you like double down, they say, and
Mm-hmm.
say double down on this, it's going to be over a 425-foot home run. Okay, so not only are you predicting a home run on that day, but you're predicting a 425-footer. You get a more rare card if you double down.
Okay.
I actually won with a few. I won with Randy Rosarina, and I won with Freddie Freeman 2 days after he came back after his son was in the hospital. I was
Wow.
he's hitting a bomb, and I had I did win, so that was pretty cool. But my buddy bought like 30 of these on eBay of all Elly. All right,
Oh, wow.
he's down in Florida. He's not even a Reds fan, but he's fallen in love with Elly, and he's got all the cards and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And so he doubled down like boom, 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 and then he got in that stretch in May where he didn't hit any home runs.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Ooh, I got to back off and hold on to some of these and hope play this right." He ended up getting a few of them. He did. But it's tough to predict the day a guy's going to hit home run.
Absolutely.
But Elly went in these spurts, and I think as he gets better, that's how he's going to hit 35 to 40 home runs. Is he's not going to have as big a drought in between.
Yeah.
It's not going to fall apart like that. I think the funny thing is I think about Elly, and you referenced it earlier, because he does everything. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you think about Elly, when you think about the Reds, you're like, man, why didn't they go out and sign a home run hitter? And you keep thinking, well, Elly's going to hit 25 to 35.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that last year. Okay. And he did. He hit 25, but whatever. So like it's almost like you're penciling in the Elly home runs already.
Yep.
But Elly's not just a bopper, right? Like he's not their Greg Vaughn. He's not their whomever, fill in the blank here. So I guess at the end of the day, we're just going to see, I think, another step forward.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see injury is the only thing I could see that would slow him down at this point. There's no plateauing yet. There's no going backwards.
Mm-mm. Yeah, man, he's 23. I mean, it's I mean, like he's 23 years old, man. He's had one full season in the majors. Like he's 23 years old. His projection, there's no way I could see him going backwards, man. I think the lineup's going to be too good. I think managerial style is going to be too good. I think that his discipline at the plate is going to be better. I think the things that he's worked on in the offseason are going to show. He's going to be more disciplined. He's going to be able to hit more balls opposite field. He's going to be able to go with the pitches. Because people are going to try to pitch him all kinds of different ways. So, I mean, people are going to try to rely on the breaking ball. People are going to try to rely on the slider. So once he starts to, continue his growth and trying to figure out how to do those things and hit those things and be patient at the plate, which all these things he's starting to do, he's only going to get better. I just don't see a slide from a guy that's 23 years old and has done the things that he's done already.
All right. So Kerry asks, is he the next Soto? Okay. And the interesting thing about Juan Soto, when he came up with the Nationals, it's funny if you remember right. It's actually funny to me because there was a trade possibility of Jay Bruce going to the Nationals before the Reds traded him to the Mets. And the funny thing is, the Nats balked at it, and I'm looking up the name now. He's an outfielder, Robles. All right,
Okay. Yeah.
Robles was a higher rated prospect than Soto.
Wow.
Okay, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Juan Soto comes up. Okay, Juan Soto is 26 right now. Can you imagine? He's 26. He's been in the big leagues since 2018.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
came up at age 19. So that's, that'll tell you a little bit about Juan Soto, okay? He played in 116 games in 2018. And then in 2019, when they won the World Series, he played in 150 games, all right? So the thing about Soto, though, is he's got such a good eye.
Yeah.
Okay? Juan Soto is part Ted Williams at this point.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
he's kind of challenged some of the things Votto did on base percentage wise, while also maybe being a little more consistent with the long ball. Votto went up and down a little bit, the long ball. But Juan Soto, I mean, we're talking about in 2021, he's an all-star for the first time. He had a 7.1 WAR. Okay. He had a 7.9 WAR last year with the Yankees.
Jeez, Pete.
All right. So Elly could be on that kind of pace, and Elly's a switch hitter, remember? And Soto now, of course, with the Mets. I wonder. I don't see Elly being patient enough at the plate, and I don't know if you always want a guy to be that patient at the plate if he's got some of the stuff that Elly has in him. Yeah. Although getting on base is never a bad thing if you're Elly. That's the other thing. You stop and think about it. It's like, well, what do we need right now? It's like, well, you could always use a home run, But at the same time, if it's Elly and he gets on in any way possible, he could be standing on third base in a blink of an eye.
Yep.
So that's what's fun about it. Okay, let's talk about, this is the shortstop show, even though I said it isn't. The position of shortstop with the Reds. Joel Luckup was on with me with the Riverfront Reds show. Go back and listen to it. Distorted me, the high pitched, whatever it is. Problem with my audio. Sorry, but it was a good conversation. And Joel's not one to kiss and tell, so to speak, but Joel is one he's a fly on the wall sometimes because he gets to be in the booth keeping the stats at the home games with the TV broadcasts and stuff that he's hearing. And he said this on the show the other night. Edwin Arroyo to him is the only guy that could supplant Elly as far as moving Elly to a different position.
Oh, wow.
All right. Now, Edwin Arroyo's got to prove he can hit even at a AAA level at this point, but especially a big league level. But even if they did, I wonder, could you say, okay, wait a minute. I remember when Pokey Reese came through the system, and Pokey Reese, maybe by that age of Barry Larkin, was maybe a little slicker of a shortstop fielding wise. But you put Pokey in 98 to fill in for injuries at third base. I think Willie Green was out, or maybe Willie just wasn't producing, which happened a few times. Sorry, I have bad flashbacks. You moved Pokey to second base when he was a full-time guy after you traded Brett Boone. So, if Elly says he's the shortstop, Elly's the shortstop.
Yeah,
that's just. I mean, I had these not fantasies, but thoughts of, well, Eric Davis was drafted as a shortstop, and Billy Hamilton was, was a shortstop, and they were pretty good in center field, both of them.
Yep.
Elly could do that too. He could. And Elly, it was mentioned earlier in the chat, Elly could be the best third baseman on the team, if not the league.
Absolutely.
And honestly, with Gavin Lux on the team, it might be easier to move McClain to shortstop, Lux to second, and Elly to third. If you weren't worried about superstar status and the anchor of your team being your best overall player, and that is Elly De La Cruz. So Edwin Arroyo could supplant him if Elly says, I will do this, or I want to do this. I don't really think he wants to do
that. Yeah.
So Pat McCoon, my friends used to call me Pokemon. Is that a playing card? Is that a card reference, or is that a? Did you really like Pokey Reese? We need to know, Pat. I had the authentic Pokey Reese jersey back in '99, 2000, around that era. So
I oddly enough, and this is going to sound strange, but I had a buddy gift me a Pokey Reese Pittsburgh Pirates jersey. I don't even
ooh,
know. Yeah, so he's like, "Hey man, Pokey Reese played for the Reds." I'm like, "Yeah, he did." Hey, I got this weird jersey. I'm like, what is it? Pokey Reese is a pirate. Sure, I'll take it. Whatever. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, I don't know what I'll do with it, but it's sitting
yeah.
in my closet.
Well, Pat's not answering. I want to know why you were called Pokemon. Okay, I'm waiting. Um, so Edwin Arroyo is supposedly that good of a defender. I guess at the end of the day, if it's I am the shortstop, because
Yeah.
remember when he was coming up, I mean, I remember even that first year early in 2023 for Elly De La Cruz felt like an eternity, because it was like, oh, look at him in spring training. He looks so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's down in AAA just killing the ball. You were Pokey's biggest fan. Pat, you got to get in line, man. I paid a 5-year-old kid $20 to get the little beanie, whatever bear, Pokey Reese bear, out in the green seats at Riverfront Stadium. Okay. I loved me some Pokey Reese, and I got to talk to him. That was fun. And he still sometimes texts me, which is amazing.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Anyway, where was I? So 2023, Elly had that meteoric rise, right? From the end of 22, spring training 23, AAA. Now we're going to bring him up. I guess it was late May, early June. He
Yep.
came up a few weeks after Matt McLean. And actually, he had what do you have? Like a broken finger. He had something slow him a little bit down that year. He had a late start in AAA. And it was just like, wow. But I remember even then, he kept telling front office types, Nick Kroll, hey, I'm a shortstop. And sometimes I think people wondered, and even when he came up at first, India was playing second and McLean was playing short, and so they put him at third, and he did fine.
Yeah.
I liked Joel Luckup the other night. Also said that Barry Larkin told him that he thought McLean's stature, build,
Mm-hmm.
would find it harder to be durable at shortstop than second base, whereas Elly, as big as he is, and that throw from there is not near as hard.
Yeah.
Kerry, what do you mean Concepcion versus Elly? Concepcion was a great player, but it wasn't Elly De La Cruz. I don't understand. Why do you keep asking me that? What do you think, Ben? I mean, I didn't get to see Concepcion play, but
I
I
was
know
gonna say,
I looked at the numbers. He was a fine player.
I was gonna say I did not see. I mean, I caught the tail end of Concepcion, like he was
Oh yeah,
like,
tail.
yeah, it was tail end. So it's hard to compare.
On defense. Well, for one, Davey used the bounce throw right on the turf. That kind of preserved his arm, I think. And I mean, Elly's got a rocket for an arm. Elly could throw 100 plus miles an hour if he's a pitcher.
Yeah.
I don't think Davey had that kind of arm. So, hey, Josh Beckley says, I think the Reds should use Elly however is best for the team. His point is they can't sign him, so why pander to his every want? Consider it and make the best choice for the Reds. Yes, Concepcion was a Gold Glove guy. You're right, he was.
Mm-hmm.
No, I guess to Josh, I think the Reds need to live as if they need to try to sign him.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear I don't want to hear the word can't. I could hear the word won't commit to it. But this ownership did give Joey Votto $225 million when that was basically the equivalent of $500 or $600 million now. I mean, the way the money's being spent now, and the value of franchises. The value of the Reds was not with a B billion back in 2011 when they gave him that deal. So I don't want to hear can't.
Yeah.
And I'm going to always be that guy because I think they're making enough that either they won't tell us about or they just put in their pockets that listen, cash on hand, I get it. Maybe they don't have that, like the Dodgers do. I get it. I understand, but they could afford to spend on a guy that's like beyond generational.
Mm-hmm.
If you keep Elly De La Cruz, I think we had that conversation a month or two ago. And you're going to skip over a few years here or there, But you could go Johnny Bench, Barry Larkin, Joey Votto, Elly De La Cruz,
Mm-hmm.
and you're only missing a few years gaps here or there. I mean,
Yeah.
you're going back to 1968 with franchise players spending their whole career, Hall of Famers, spending their whole career with the Reds.
Yep.
And it didn't happen. People didn't spend their whole careers with one team as far back as the 90s. It just, there's a reason Barry Larkin and Cal Ripken and Tony Gwynn were just rare. Yeah, they probably my guess is they won't sign Elly to a long-term deal. That could have to do as much as the Reds just crying poor as who his agent is, but I don't know. I think they could do it.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If if you if you want to be a championship contender, you have to be willing to keep the guys that are going to make you a championship contender.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Elly's going to bring eyes to that ball club. Elly's going to bring money to that ball club. He's going to bring money to the franchise. He's going to bring all kinds of different popularity, all kinds of things. Like he is a guy that everybody in Major League Baseball is wanting to see. And people that are fans of Major League Baseball are going to want to see, which is going to draw attention to your franchise. You can't let a guy like that walk away. You can't let a guy like that get to arbitration. You can't let a guy like that become a free agent. That just can't happen. It just can't. Like you have to be willing to do what it takes to keep a guy like that around. And whether that's spending more money than you have before, whether it's making the investment, I just don't believe that there's this thing where they're like, well, we're a small market, we can't spend that kind of money. I don't believe that. I believe there's money somewhere, especially if you're saying that you want to be a franchise that's going to want to compete for World Series. You go out and do all these different things, and then you don't want to spend money on it. Like that doesn't make any sense. You're being your own counterproductive argument. Like if you want to spend money and be on top, then that's what you need to do.
Mm-hmm. And listen, their payroll has been woeful these last couple of
Mm-hmm.
years, in part because they have so many young players, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it's like I don't know if they're putting that money in the couches and under the couch cushions to bring out later. I hope they are. But I'm a huge Votto fan. Okay, I love Joey Votto. I'm glad he stayed with the Reds. I'm glad he didn't play a game for the Blue Jays.
Man, I tell you what, that might have been one of the saddest days of my life if he'd have
If he
played
had.
first base for the Blue Jays. Yeah, that I would have been crushed. I would
So
have been.
so I love him. I like Barry Larkin a lot. I do.
Mm-hmm.
I did as a player. That's the star power with those two is not what this is. This is it's not Michael Jordan level. I get that. It's like, it's not LeBron James at his peak level as far as popularity around the world, but this is stuff you could, you're going to make money. Joe Burrow makes the Bengals money. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to make money off of this guy's just big smile. You are.
Mm-hmm.
He's a million watts just emanating from Elly De La Cruz's smile. All right. So I look at it that way. And listen, you go back and reading the Pete Rose book by Keith O'Brien, Pete might have been the last superstar the Reds had, honestly, at this level.
Yeah.
But you think about the funny thing is they had two guys, and Pete was the local superstar, and Johnny
Mm-hmm.
was, kind of the
National.
national superstar.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's interesting there.
Yeah. I mean, I know this is weird to say, but even the Bengals are trying to figure it out. It's like if you look at the Bengals, they've always been like, "Oh man, we can't afford this guy, or we can't do that, or we can't do this." They're in conversations to try to keep T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and have Joe Burrow. Like, they're figuring it out. Like, if you want to win, you got to figure it out.
Mhm.
Like you can't just say, "Oh, woe is me. We don't have the money to do it, and we don't have this." No, you figure it out. If you want
Yeah.
to win and be a part of something special, and you've got a special guy, a once in a lifetime player on your roster for $800,000 right now, you figure it out.
Right. And at the front end, like Joey Votto was, you pay him less while he's being an MVP caliber player.
Mm-hmm.
And at the back end, you pay him way more
Mm-hmm.
than he's probably worth, in part because you paid him till he got. That's the thing with the Votto thing. It was a 10-year extension,
Yeah.
and he had 2 years left on it. So
Oh
it really
yeah.
became a 12-year deal, and he kind of came up later. He didn't really come up till 25. So
Mm-hmm.
let's look at this. Let's think about this. The Nats won a World Series in 2019. COVID hits. They never really got to celebrate it right. They weren't the same after that because their pitching fell apart.
Yep.
They traded Juan Soto away.
Yep. They sure did.
They didn't pay him. And they're kind of where the Reds have been these last few years, just rebuilding year after year. They've got some good young players now. They do.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if they'll be contending within the next 3 years. Look at the Red Sox. The Red Sox, we know, have more money than the Reds. And the Red Sox decided they couldn't pay or wouldn't pay, to your point, Josh Beckley, wouldn't pay Mookie Betts. So they traded him. And listen, they've got some horses this year as far as talent, but they got to figure out this Devers Bregman thing. And I think Bregman's going to go a long way to helping smooth that over. But my goodness, they haven't been the same since they traded Betts because they showed their cards, Ben. They showed, and the Reds have already shown their cards many times of we're not going to spend. And I don't want them to spend silly money.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want them to spend the way they did on Moustakas and Shogo.
Mm-hmm.
All right? That was wasted money.
Yeah.
All right? I just don't see how, and you guys are putting numbers in the chat, $700 million. They won't go over it 3 years from now. He'll be better than Soto. Yeah, probably. And Josh Beckley said that the Nats, yes, they offered Soto $425 million, and you know, he's proven that was chump change. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how. I mean, they surprised us when they signed Votto, and that was still in the early days of the Castellini regime.
Yeah.
If they're not going to try to sign him, they have I will never want that billboard to come to fruition more than I do if they don't try to sign him.
Yeah.
Like, sell the thing as fast as you can.
Can't sell it fast enough.
Let the next guy come in and pay him. And
Yep.
Mr. Juan, I thank you for saying it. He says if the Royals can sign Bobby Witt, the Reds can sign Elly.
Yep.
You see it across baseball. And even Ramirez up in Cleveland, they didn't sign hardly anybody up there, but they've kept him.
Yep.
They've kept him. So I guess where I am with it is that idea that they need to get it done, and I don't know. I think next offseason is when they need to get it done, Ben.
Oh yeah.
I think they need to do it next offseason, or maybe even somehow do it during the season this year and surprise somebody. Surprise us all with a big press conference at GABP one morning before a game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it happening. There's Josh Beckley in the chat. I hear you. I am very reticent to think that they will do it, but I'm very hopeful that they will because that's the cornerstone of everything. And then you sign Matt McLean. You sign Matt McLean too. Now let's make sure Matt's healthy. Give me a full season. So I'm not rushing out to give him 10 years or anything like that now.
No, yeah.
But corporate will get involved. All right. So what do you think? Did we do the position of shortstop with the Cincinnati Reds justice?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's only one, right? I mean,
There is.
it's I mean, it's plain and simple. The guy is going to be the face of baseball. He's exciting, and it's very cool to have him on your favorite team. Like that's it's a special thing to watch him play baseball, and it's exciting times for the Reds because man, like it's just I mean, this guy is going to be electric. He's going to be absolutely electric.
Well, and I'm not saying he's going to be at the level of Mike Trout at his peak.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got something Trout doesn't, and that's that flair and that excitedness that there's kids you go all around. I didn't get to make a road trip this past year, but I heard that in different ballparks, and they're not Reds fans, they're little kids all over the country buying Elly De La Cruz jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you have to capitalize on it. You could even attract other people to come and play for you. There's just so much there that you can do if you make him the cornerstone. So that means he gets to play shortstop. And that means he will be. I mean, he's already a great shortstop. He's better at shortstop now than I thought he could be in 2023 when I thought leave Matt McLean at shortstop. I really did.
Yeah.
I actually, one of the first shows I came on with the Dotsons, I said, what if McLean's better at defense? Well, don't you put him there? And they said, no, I think you put Elly there because he's your superstar in waiting. Well, they were right. And I kind of was right because I meant if McLean's better, and he's not. Elly is good. Elly's amazing at shortstop. He's only going to get better. Josh, you were so down on the Reds' ability to sign Elly and their intention to sign Elly, and yet you say they're going 92 and 70. If they go 92 and 70, they're in the playoff. And Mr. Juan, I think it's going to take more than that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, considerably more.
Now, the only way that would happen is if it was like that amount per annual value, and it's like 8 years, because then Boris can take him back at age 30 or so, or 31. So, yeah, no, I if they go 92, if they win 92 games, we'll be. Ben, you and I might be going to the playoff game together.
Man, absolutely.
You'll be wearing
no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Hey, no doubt about it. I'll have a Reds beanie ready. We'll be ready to go.
All right. Well, good luck to you guys in your basketball run, Cooper.
Appreciate it, man.
Keep it up.
Absolutely.
Hey, and this weekend I'm going to be down there. All right.
Oh yeah.
My son's playing soccer at Dixie Heights.
Okay.
We're going across the street to Dewey's after the game.
Yes, sir.
I will get in touch with you on the time, all right?
Yeah, please do.
And if anybody wants to come and buy me a pizza at Dewey's around 12:30 on Saturday, I'll be there. But yeah, he's playing at Cooper Heights. That's a nice turf field for what I understand.
Yeah, Dixie is they have a really nice field. It's a really nice complex, actually, yeah.
We're looking forward to it. That'll be a fun weekend. Hey, thanks for letting me come aboard, Tim. I hope you're okay up in Cleveland. Thanks for passing the baton to me on listen, I sat down to prep and I'm like, it's one of those times where you say, this isn't work. This is fun.
This is fun.
Because talking about Elly De La Cruz for going on 59 minutes, this is fun. Absolutely. So thanks so much. And listen, Pat McGooch, everybody in the chat, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks, Carrie. You guys, thanks for having me again. I'm glad hopefully the audio worked. And Ben, I'm going to talk to you soon. Have a good one.
All right. Have a good one, man.